Why do so many men cheat? Why has it become an epidemic in our societies, homes, churches, the workplace, and just generally? The idea that infidelity, specifically men cheating on their wives, is inevitable, that it's a biological imperative. All men cheat, you hear it all the time, but is that true? Or is it one of those damaging lies we tell ourselves about marriage? This is not just about statistics. This is about broken trust, broken hearts, and a society that is losing its moral fabric. So my goal with today's video isn't to give easy answers because I don't have any. It's to challenge some stereotypes and spark a real honest conversation, invite you into deep reflection, and hopefully potential belief and behavior change. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Taiye Aluko. I am a marriage coach and counselor, and I will give a disclaimer. I am not an infidelity subject matter expert, but I do spend a lot of time helping couples navigate challenges that they're facing in their marriage. And I find that betrayal is on the top of the list of those challenges. So today's conversation is not about pointing fingers. It's not about shaming anyone. It's about exploring research, confronting stereotypes, and reflecting on God's truth for marriage. My prayer is that this video helps us to pause, to think deeply, and to realign with God's vision of faithfulness in marriage. Why has infidelity become such a widespread issue? Let me start with what the research says. Now, some studies suggest up to 20 to 25% of married individuals report cheating at some point in time. Now, the numbers may differ across cultures, but the story is similar. It is commonplace and it is worsening. Now, as to why it happens, here are some of the reasons, also based on research findings. First, there's emotional dissatisfaction. The feeling of being disconnected from your spouse. A man might feel unheard, a man might feel unappreciated, or like the emotional spark has died. The affair in this case is often less about physical attraction, and more about finding someone who sees them again, who hears them. There's the obvious one, sexual dissatisfaction or desire. The craving for novelty, the craving for excitement. But even here, research suggests that it's often linked to a deeper desire for validation, to feel desired, to feel powerful. Another big reason is personal insecurity or lack of self-esteem. Like a midlife crisis kind of situation. In this instance, the affair becomes a way to prove themselves, that they are still desirable, that they still have it going on. It's an external fix for an internal problem. Another reason we can't ignore is situational factors. Opportunity meets a moment of weakness, a work trip, a party where everybody is in high spirits, drinking, or a period of high stress. This is the "it just happened" scenario, which, if we're honest, usually points to a lack of strong personal boundaries. Men are more likely to cheat when opportunity presents themselves, especially in environments with little accountability. Then you also have the novelty and thrill. The human brain is wired to enjoy novelty. And for some men, marriage has become boring and cheating is about chasing excitement, not replacing their partner whom they still love. Then, of course, you have, the more difficult reasons like anger or revenge or deep-seated issues that come from childhood trauma. Like when you saw it growing up and you are just modeling the behavior that you saw, even without knowing it. And of course, you can't rule out environmental factors and conditioning, how you were raised, the environments you grew up in, the things you witnessed when you were growing up, they shape belief, they shape behavior. Now, if you look at all these research findings, it clearly shows that the reasons are not purely biological, but they are deeply emotional and relational. And this leads us to one of the most painful parts, the question of blame. Specifically, do wives have any blame in their husband's cheating? Don't come for me because I am only pondering. And I'm pondering because in any relationship, both parties contribute to the dynamic going on in the home. There can be neglect, there can be a lack of intimacy, there can be criticism. These things create vulnerability and they can make a relationship feel empty. But, and this is a crucial but, contributing to a problem is not the same as making the choice to be unfaithful. The research is very clear on this, that the decision to cross that line, the decision to seek connection or validation outside the boundaries of your marriage is an individual choice. Now, when a man or even a woman at that chooses to cheat, he makes a choice to handle dissatisfaction through deception rather than through communication or counseling. Now, blaming your wife for your infidelity is a way to avoid the weight of responsibility. It's a way to sidestep your guilt, and it is ultimately destructive. So, this then brings us to the big question. If the reasons for infidelity are so many and the temptations are everywhere, is it even possible to be totally faithful? The answer is a resounding yes. Absolutely. The fact that we have to even ask this question shows how low the bar has been set. Because the truth is that millions of people, millions of husbands and wives are faithful to each other, to their vows every day. They choose it. They are committed to their vows. They believe in the sanctity of the marriage covenant, and they work at their marriage. For them, faithfulness is an active commitment. It's also a mindset. And this is the thing, you become what you believe. And so for the faithful, it's about them setting boundaries with their co-workers, with their friends. It's about them doing the internal work on their own insecurities instead of outsourcing it. And so you find out that absolute faithfulness is possible, but it requires a deep understanding of the covenant of marriage. Now I want to bring in the faith-based angle, because this fundamentally changes the nature of the conversation. You see, for the Christian, marriage isn't just a contract, it's a covenant before God. Now, when we view marriage as a covenant, infidelity isn't just a personal betrayal, it's a sin. It's a breaking of a sacred promise made not only to your spouse, but also to God. It damages the divine institution. And so, what does the Christian perspective offer to this conversation? Number one, it offers a higher standard. It moves the goalpost from can I get away with it to how can I honor God and my spouse with my actions and even my thoughts. Number two, it's a call to self-sacrifice. The world says if you're not happy, leave, or do whatever will make you happy. But God presents a model of self-sacrificial love, the kind that Christ showed to the church. Now, this radically reorientates our approach to marriage. It calls us to serve our spouse rather than just serve ourselves. Number 3, the hope of redemption. For those who have been cheated on, or those who have cheated, the message of the gospel is one of grace and forgiveness and the possibility of restoration. Now, it doesn't promise an easy path, but it does offer a path towards repentance and healing that the world simply cannot provide. So, how do we address or reverse the rot? Again, I say, I don't have all the answers, but I do have a few suggestions. We need to, number 1, reject the all men cheat narrative. It's a lie from the pit of hell. This stereotype is not only false, but it's also destructive. It lowers the bar for men and creates an expectation of failure. We need to celebrate and lift up the examples of faithful, committed men. Number 2, we need to strengthen our communities, especially our churches, to be places of genuine support and accountability for marriages. Number 3, we need to be raising sons and daughters with godly values, with accountability, with integrity, with covenant-keeping love and commitment to the institution of marriage. Now, it's important to know that healing, whether for a couple or for our culture, will begin with a return to integrity, the covenant, and a love that is rooted in commitment, not just emotions. And so as I conclude, we've learned that the reasons men cheat are complex. They are often rooted in insecurity and a hunger for validation, not just sex. We've seen that while relationship problems are shared, the choice to cheat is an individual one. And we've been reminded that total faithfulness is not only possible, but it is lived out by millions of couples all over the world. Most importantly, we've also seen that from a Christian perspective, marriage is a sacred covenant that calls us to a higher standard of love and fidelity, one that reflects Christ's love for us. Again, as I say, I don't have all the answers. And I know that this video wouldn't have put forward all the answers. But my hope is that this gives you a framework to think more deeply, to challenge stereotypes, and to have more compassionate and truthful conversation about this in your own circles, especially in churches. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Do you believe faithfulness is truly possible in today's world? Or do you think human nature makes cheating inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a real practical conversation. Now, if this video resonated with you, please hit that like button, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, share with anyone that you know needs to hear it. And if you're someone that is struggling with betrayal or communication or struggling to be rebuilt after infidelity, I invite you to reach out for help because help is available. Remember, marriage is not perfect, but if you are intentional, you can have a beautiful marriage. And when we choose to do the work, love can truly last. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Taiye Aluko. I will see you in my next video and bye-bye.